Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video of Marvel Contest of Champions. And finally, this is going to be the Grandmasters Gauntlet, my complete run. Now, before every fight, I'll be jumping in to explain the alternate champions, the masteries, and what champion I use, what is the thought process going on during the fight, and as well as what were my mistakes that you could avoid and use less units. And there will also be a unit counter on the top of it, so revives, team revives, and units will be there. So check it out, and also check the description. I'll be leaving timestamps for all of them, so I hope you enjoy it and it helps some of you and to plan your paths and everything. There were a total of 9 solos here and 11 fights that cost me units, and some of them were only 1 or 2 revives, but the fight that was the most annoying was the Mixmaster Korg. So I will go into detail of all of them. My team was Namor, Magneto Red, and as well as Professor X and Archangel along with Magneto X. Magneto X was just there for the synergy or to give me the passive stun for a couple of fights. So the first fight is going to be against a Doom with Bubble Shield, Particle Protector, and Size Matters, and Micro Reflect. So all in all, you need to use champions that can use a parry heavy style. So champions like Magneto or Archangel, they can work really well here, or you can just bring in extra large champions and you can use them. So Hulk is really good here. Also Apocalypse will work amazingly well. Also you can bring in any XL champion. There is a really nice takedown by a Suida with a Kingpin as well, so it depends on you. For me it was Magneto because I'm trying to play to my strengths, and I have a Magneto at rank 3, so I brought him up, and my strategy was to build up to SP3 and let it rip. And also for the mastery here, I'm running 3x3 pacify, so already with the magnetize, because Doom is a metal champion, his ability accuracy is reduced by 75%, and with 3x3 pacify plus 25, so that's 100% reduction. So when I do parry him, the bubble shield will not take into effect, and my armor will not reduce, my block penetration will not be reduced. So that is very helpful if you're using Magneto. Another thing you guys really need to do is to learn how to dex his SP1. If you're not sure, always look at his hand movements after the initial animation. He will take his hand back and he will try to throw that beam into you just right there, and you just swipe back. So you need to learn that. If you're not good at it, go into some duels and try to evade those. It's pretty easy once you get the timing down. It was important, so I had to learn that because I couldn't do it before. I usually blocked always Doom special 1, but it would be great for you if you guys can learn. That will help you navigate through this fight much easier, and you can kill Doom off and do a solo. Now for the boost, I deliberately bring in all mutant team, so I can run the 200% and 12%, but in the whole path I do run boosts that are mutant 150 or 200 or 8% or 12%, along with 20% health and attack boost. I don't have the 30% one, but if you have them, that'd be great. You could use that as well. For the masteries, you can run a suicide setup as well, but I prefer not running suicide masteries here because I'm just not comfortable with them when it comes to my champions, but you can use them according to yours. Now the next fight is going to be against a Terrax, who is the most on the edge fight in this gauntlet. It's really fun and it always keeps you on your toes. So the nodes are going to be powerful from afar and empower and energize too with galactic intervention. So when you're away from him, when you're far away from him, he will start gaining power, and also his power gain rate is increased by energize too. So he gains a lot of power and it's easy to push him to an SP3. But the catch is here that whenever his rock shield is active, he cannot use specials, and he becomes very aggressive. So there are quite a few champions that you can use here. Power control should be your go-to. So for example, magic works really well, but initially you will have to slow play and build up your SP2 and let him drain his power, so you can power lock him for the remaining of the fight. You can also use Gladiator Hulk, because of his face me, the rock shield damage will not take effect, and you will regen all the health back. So that's another option. Or you can always quake it. If you're a really good quaker, you can just go into a corner and quake him out. That is by far the cheapest option. Also, Sorcerer Supreme works as well. Gambit with his concussion, you can keep it up 100% of the time. You can use that as well. My choice would be Namor, because again, Namor comes in very handy for a lot of other fights, and also he will be coming handy for the boss as he's an Avenger. So I'm gonna use him. So I died here once because of my mistake. I wasn't aggressive enough. So the way you work with Namor is you need a Sig 200, and any damage that the rock shields are going to do to you, you are going to return back to Terrax. So keeping that in mind, all I'm trying to do is to keep him to a corner and intercepts. You can easily land those intercepts because his AI, Terrax AI, is very aggressive during his rock shield is active. So you just go in and you start hitting him, and all the damage from the rock shields are reflected back. There are a couple of things I learned when I did this. Is you will have to practice your intercepts. There are two ways I do it. I just go into a corner, drop 4 hits, swipe back, and I start with a medium. If you're not comfortable in medium, which is also not the safest option, you can also start with a light attack, and you will get that as well. So I like to keep a mix of it. So sometimes I do with a medium, sometimes I do with a light, and as soon as you get an SP3, I just throw an SP3 to break the animation. And also you can drop in a parry here and there. And yeah, also right now you will notice that there wasn't any rock shield active, so I stayed back, because if I hit him, he's gonna get an SP3 and he's gonna kill me off. So whenever you need to take care that when he has power, let him throw an SP1 or SP2, let the rock shield activate, and then you can go back in. Also, it's very common to fail here on this fight. That's alright. So I would suggest you the first 2 fights, if you mess up in any way, you can always restart the gauntlet, because they're the first 2 fights. I usually commit after the first 2 fights, like okay, now I am ready to go in. So I failed about 9 to 10 times on this fight before I understood the timing and the spacing and how to do this fight. So it's okay if you fail a few times and then you get it right. The important thing is that you get him and Doom down cheaply, so that is almost half of your path 1 done, and you haven't spent much units. Next fight is going to be against a Vision. Now this is probably the most easiest fight in all of the Gauntlet, because it's just surging vengeance and as well as minor aspect of death, and he will also have power bond on him, so nothing much to worry about, especially with Magneto. All I'm going to do is to build up to an SP3 and let it rip. I also have a 200% boost, but I wouldn't need it here because of power bond. So all I'm going to do is to let him throw in SP1 and then SP2. In the meantime, I'll build up to my SP3. Now because it's Magneto 6-star rank 3 and I also have the 20% attack and health boost running, I would suggest you to have a bigger one, but that is enough as well. He will die in one SP3 only. Now other champions that you can use here, Doom works really well. You can power control. Also another champion, Ghost with Hood, works really well. You can also use Magic if you're bringing him for the last fight, that she can work here as well. Always you can Quake, and you can also use this fight, you can bring down Vision to the last 5 or 10%, and then you can use in Corvus or Professor X, or even if you want to bring in M.O.D.O.K and get those charges on you, so you can use them for the next fight. There's also a very good place to ramp up your Aegon if you like, if you're going to use Aegon, and I would highly suggest if you have an Aegon, bring Aegon for this one, because he will just rip through the rest of the Gauntlet. So Vision is a good place to build up your champions if you like. Next one is going to be a M.O.D.O.K. Now with M.O.D.O.K there is going to be stun vulnerability. He will take more damage during stun, and specialist 1 he will throw SP1 more often, and his SP1 is unblockable with enhanced special 1, as well as hard knock life, so whenever you will block his attack, he will put a disorient debuff on you that will reduce your ability accuracy. So again, he's a metal champion. I'm gonna be using Magneto here. Now again, I'm running Pacify 3x3, and also with Magnetize, his ability accuracy will be reduced to 100. So whenever he will hit me during a block, he will not put any disorient on me, and all I need to do is to use parry heavy, build up to those 40 charges, and then let it rip, and that will kill him off. 2 SP3 should do the trick. Now some other champions that can work really well here is an Archangel, just parry and have your way away. Also Corvus, if you got the 2 charges from the previous fight, you can use that here as well. You can quake this fight easily, as well as you can use Shang-Chi here, and you can use the stun and the purified rotation, so that will work. Also Moleman is a good option, and Apocalypse will be great here. You can easily build him up with his charges. So all in all, it's one of the most simpler fights to deal with. Now during my runs, one of the things that really annoyed me, or what I always get busted with, was I was not waiting for the stun to stick, because I would have 2 or 3 disorients on me, and I would just think like, okay, I have my stun, I will just use a heavy. But no, wait for the parry to stick before you drop a heavy again. Now because Magneto has unstoppable, you might not be punished that much. But if you're using another champion and you try to do a heavy straight after a parry, and if the parry does not connect, you are in for a lot of damage. So wait for the parry to stick, and then you can go in and hit him. Next up is going to be a Spider-Ham. Now with him, he is one of the most annoying fights in the Gauntlet. He has energized, so his power gain rate is increased, and he's also defensive, so he'll be blocking more, and he'll be very stingy in throwing his specials, and also he has debuff immunity. Now for me, I brought in Magneto X just to use that pre-fight, because he's debuff immune but he's not stun immune, so he can be stunned passively. So I am bringing here to make the fight easy. If you don't bring him, you will have to wait for his special. When he throws a special one, you can swipe back, and then you can charge your heavy. If you're going to use a Professor X, you can always quake this fight, and also you can bring in champions that are evade counters. It's also a good place to bring your M.O.D.O.K, and he will, after a few evades, he will become evade immune, so that will work. And also Chorus, by this time you should have 3 charges, 2 from Vision and 1 from M.O.D.O.K, and because you will have the evade charge, and if you bring a Proxima with him, Spider-Ham will not evade. Now this fight is just long, and it requires a bit of patience. And again, this was the first time I was using Professor X for some long content, and I'm not really good with him. I learned the hard way that it's good to throw your specials when your opponent has, more power. So that was, I still didn't learn it here. I learned it after the Korg fight, but I'm going to let you know now that it's good to throw your specials when your opponent has like 2 bars of power. The damage of his specials is increased, so, and that also gives you back a lot of power with 200% and 12% boost. I was just wondering throughout the fight why I'm not getting so much power like some of the other YouTubers that have used it, but then I learned my way through it. So again, just keep throwing his keep pushing him to an SP1, let him drop that SP1, and then you can drop your heavy and you can use that. Right there I did a mistake and I pushed him to an SP2 and he killed me off, so do not do that. That was my mistake. learn from it, and for the next whole fight I just used heavies by staying back, and I always bait his SP1 out. It doesn't matter how much time it takes, patience. In the long run, if you're using Professor X, you'll be able to kill him off quicker if you're a bit patient and let him throw his SP1 again and again. And Apocalypse also works here, and also Aegon, you can ramp him up a little bit. She-Hulk is also a fun option here. You can again hit Spider-Ham in his block, and once he throws his SP1 you can just use a heavy so he can be slowed down, and that will also taunt him, and he will throw his special ones more often so the fight cycle can be faster. I would suggest if you're gonna bring in the She-Hulk, then bring a Gulk for that Terrax fight, because that will help increase the fury timing and also help you kill off these fights faster. So you are done with part 1 now, and we have only used 2 revives. That was really great. Now the part that I was most afraid of was this part 2 with that thing and Korg coming up. So the first fight is against a Weapon X. Now this is a great place to build up your Aegon if you want to build up to more hits. I would suggest use this fight to build up to at least to 500 hits, so you don't have to worry about the rest of the gauntlet. Now some other great champions that work here are going to be Ghost. So if you're going to use Ghost, that will work great. Apocalypse can work here as well as Quake, and also this is also a place where you can get your 4th charge for your Corvus. Professor X works as well. Again, he's a metal champion, and my go-to is going to be a Magneto. Now what I would try to do here, I would save an SP3 during his rage charges, so at least when he is taking me to a corner, I can throw that SP3 and create space. And all in all I only need to do is to do a heavy and parry and build up to those 40 prowess charges and then throw an SP3. Now his regen will not be reduced, so don't worry about that, but the bleed damage will take over, and in the shrapnel damage will do a lot of damage to him, and you can easily solo him and kill him off. I managed to get the solo as well. I was careful with the rage charges, so whenever he was going crazy, I was just trying him to throw his SP1 and I can push him back. So it's all about spacing in this fight. Keep him to his side of the map and you will be doing great. If you get cornered, then just keep an eye on his unblockable and stoppable. Just wait for the timer to run out. And yes guys, this is going to be a pretty simple fight if you bring in a Magneto. At least in my case it was. Some other options are there as well. So yeah, that's about it. Now the next 2 fights are the ones I was really worried about. Not much for the thing because it's one of my practice runs. I soloed thing with a Quake, so because things hit animations are a bit slow, so it's more easily quakeable. But then I ended up planning to use Namor and whatever team I had to throw at him because of he has oscillate on him, so for a few seconds he will go into defensive mode, he will be doing all the blocking, and then he will go into attack mode and he will be more aggressive and he will try to throw specials at you. He also has shifting immunity that you don't really feel for bleed and poison during the fight, so nothing to worry about there. The only thing is going to be oscillate and his unblockable specials that you need to navigate around. So my choice was Namor here because Namor can do some bleeds and manage the rock stacks. It's easier to manage the rock stacks because now if you're at a point where he does not have a special one and he is at 15 rock stacks, wait. Let him go into in his defensive mode in oscillate, and he will block a lot, and then you can hit him in his block, and then you can push him to an SP1. And as soon as he goes back into his attack phase, he will throw that SP1 and all of those charges will go away. Now if you have a Quake here, she's gonna work amazing. She-Hulk will work here as well. Shang-Chi will be an amazing here, and also Professor X and as well as Apocalypse with those heavy spams with all of those bleeds. They will keep the rock stack in check. I didn't have much options, so I came in with Namor, and I think I finished this fight with only one revive, so I was pretty happy with that. But I did die a lot with other champions that caused me to use a team revive later, but that's okay. Minimal units used, actually no units used, and just one revive. I was happy with this fight, and I started this gauntlet with very less revives. I was more banking on my units. I had 2055 units when I started, so I thought about 1200 units will be enough for the pots. And I had very few revives on me because all the revives I farmed, all the pots I farmed, I just used them during my practice runs. So yeah, don't do that mistake. If I know there's only 3 days left on this quest, but if you have farmed enough pots and enough revives, you should be able to do it without using any units. But I would suggest having like 35 to 40 revives and like 100 or 150 pots. That would be enough for you, or maybe 200, and have like 1000 or 1100 units. You can run through the gauntlet. Bear in mind, I get really annoyed with long content, so a lot of the deaths I have are more out of annoyance that I am just done with it. I want it to get over. Especially in Path 4, I make a lot of unforced errors, so you can avoid all of that if you have a bit more patience than me. And yeah, that's about it, guys. With Thing, it's just patience, and you can kill him off with very cheaply. And then we jump into the Mix Master Korg with Flux Dispersal and Ghost Trap and Aggressive. Now, Mix Master, if we use the same attack twice in a row, he is going to evade, and with aggressive he's going to be super aggressive, so he is easier to evade, but he's going to be in your face all the time. And then it's going to be gas rubs. Every time he hits you, he will increase his block penetration, and if he gets like 4 to 5 charges, he's going to hit you really hard. And also there is going to be flux dispersals. Every time you hit him, he will get a flux charge that will reduce the damage incoming, and also you can dispel it with a heavy. Now that I'm recording and I'm looking at this fight, I think I was really worried about how this fight is going to end up, that I wasn't paying attention to the minor details that would have changed the fight and made me use less units. Is the first thing is try to use an SP3 when he has 2 bars of power. That will give him more damage and give you more power return, and you can cycle your specials faster when you have 100 cerebro charges. Also, use your falter to build up to 25 to 35 cerebro charges so he does not evade, so you can get Mixmaster out of the way. So there were quite a few learnings I took from here, and one of the things is you need to learn how to dex his special one to avoid using a lot of units. I am still not very good at it. I can evade it 3 out of 5 times, so like I have a 60% success rate, otherwise I still die. Now the best approach, I would say, if you're not good at it, is to think about it this way, that budget this fight in 5 revives. So you should be taking out 20% of this Korg in every fight, but actually when I was fighting this, everything just went out up in the air, and I was just throwing people and units there, people and revives there, which hindsight I should not have done that. So learn from my mistake, guys. If you're good with Professor X and you're good with dexing his special one, this fight should be okay. But if you're somebody like me and you're not, that's okay. Think about taking 20% off in 1 revive, and in 5 revives you will have him down, which is also great, because if you have farmed your revives and pods, you will not use any units. Bear in mind again, I did not have much resources when I started. I was banking on my 2000 units, so yeah, that's why if you see the unit usage is high, so don't worry about it. You will be having more farms, so you'll be doing okay. Next up is going to be a DragonMan, which is usually a very annoying fight, but that's one of the reasons I brought in Magneto. So this is taken from a video by Wade Thrillson. I will link it in the description down below. Make sure to check it out and you give him a like and a subscribe. that was a really great video that helped a lot of the community with this gauntlet. So if you have a Magneto, you can easily magnetize it. Make sure to have a 200% boost on you, and all you need to do is to keep the fight in the middle and be a bit aggressive. And when he uses his special, retaliate with your heavy, he's going to be a stun immune, so you cannot parry in heavy, and you cannot even use Magneto X for the passive stun because he is stun immune. So all you need to do is to push him to an SP1, let him throw a special and block the hits so he does not get power gain, and then use a heavy attack. Once you have a special 3 and you're up to 8 to 9 stacks of prowess on you, you can just spam your heavy, build up to 35 to 40 prowess charges and just throw an SP3. And because he is metal and he is also armor break immune, he will take a lot of damage and it will give you an instant SP3 again, and you can throw it again, and you can easily solo this fight if you're going to use a Magneto. Now this fight can also be soloed with Quake. You can also bring in Ghost here. Aegon works really well. Also Doom can work with all of that power control. And another champion that works well is going to be Human Torch, but the key is always going to be to block some hits from SP1 so he does not have that power gain, and you can control his power and only let him throw SP1 or SP2s. If it's SP3, it's pretty much game over. And be a little bit aggressive so you can take him to a corner, you can keep the fight in the middle, because if he corners you, he can keep throwing those heavies and kill you off very quick. Right there, SP3, I've got another one, and that will kill him off. So once again, thank you Wade Thrillson for this tip. It worked amazingly well. Really appreciate it. Next up is going to be Footloose, Armor Assault, and an Arc Overload Black Panther Civil Warrior. So once the fight starts, just keep dashing back and look out for the armor. Do not hit him when he has an armor up, because he will go unblockable unless you're using a Mole Man with the 3x5 stand your ground. Then he can block unblockable hits, but if not, then stay back. The best champion I find here is going to be an Archangel. Just parry and heavy, build up those neurotoxins, and even if Black Panther throws a special, the Footloose will not activate. So I really love Archangel for this fight, and I was able to get the solo, so yeah, that worked really well. Also M.O.D.O.K you can use the champions that have easy access to nullify. So Black Widow Clairvoyant, if you use Black Widow for the Terrax fight, she can work here as well. Aegon will work here as well. And also if you have 750 plus hits by this time, so you can also you can also get unblockable on your critical hits, so you don't have to worry about the armor up. You can just wait for him to block and you can go back into him. So all in all, it's a really fun fight if you have the right champion to bring in. So if you have Archangel, he will melt him away, and it's an easy solo. Just really take care about his armor ups and going unblockable, and his specials can be easily evaded. So stack up those neurotoxins and you can kill him off. I did get clipped by an SP1 because neurotoxins were there. I did not get any bleeds. So yes guys, I hope this helps. So we are 2 parts down and we have only used 6 revives and 1 team revive, and this is the first time I run out of pots. So you will notice that most of my units that I'm going to use through the run are going to be on pots, around like 1,000 of them. So if you farm enough pots, you don't have to use these units. It's just me that I use them. Next one is going to be NightCrawler. Now he has enhanced crits and he is going to be having force of will, so his ability accuracy cannot be reduced. So and also he will have best defense, so he will evade more than usual. So it's very important to bring a evade counter. I am using Professor X, and as soon as I go above 25 cerebro charges, I get vigilance, so he cannot miss. And once I go above 25, I take him to a corner and I hit him in his block to change his stance into swashbuckling, and now he will not evade. Now some really good counters here are going to be Apocalypse. Apocalypse just runs through over him. Also Aegon, because after 500 hits he reduces ability accuracy by 100%. But again, just be careful, you have force of will, so you have to play a little carefully there. Also you can bring in Corvus if you have Proxima with you. Proxima works really well against Thing and as well as a Korg, so you can bring her along. If you're not sure, just check Barrowman's video. He takes out a lot of champions with Proxima. If you check my previous video on the Gauntlet, the guide, I have linked a lot of people's YouTube videos that helped me to plan my path, so check those out and give them a lot of love, guys. So my go-to champion was Professor X, and it was a good solo here. So all I'm trying to do is to build up to my SP3 and have those 100 cerebro charges, so I can spam my specials, and with the 200 boost that also helped me out. So yeah, this is one of the easier parts. I think part 3 was the easiest in all of this Gauntlet, so you can get through it pretty much with very low resources and units. So next fight is going to be against a Spidergwen. Now she will have window of opportunity with stun and also one-eyed open and the best defense along with force of will. So you cannot reduce her ability accuracy, and with window of opportunity stun, whenever you will parry her, she will return the stun back to you because she will have a stun immunity shield or stun return shield for a little while, and then that will go away. Now one-eyed open, whenever she'll be stunned, any damage you do to her, she will return it back to you. So basically you cannot stun or parry her the whole fight. Again, my go-to choice is going to be a Professor X. Now by this time I learned from my mistake. I knew that once I have a special 3, I have to build up to 100 cerebro charges and let the opponent at least have 2 bars of power before I start going in, so I can get more damage and I can cycle those specials. But the other mistake I made here is that twice I used my SP3 on 99 charges. I did not wait enough for the heavy to charge and have 100, so that was really funny, and that was some learning for me. But again, all of these things is because I'm not a good Professor X player. I've just started playing him, but I did learn a lot about him from this run. So learn from a mistake, guys. Make sure you have 100 charges before you throw a special 3 so you can go through the cycling. Now, having said that, there are quite a few champions that work here as well. Corvus works here, but with Corvus the trick is to only hit her in the block, because when you hit her in the block she does not evade, but if you try to hit her head on then she will evade. So that would be a long fight with Corvus, but it's still doable with some good boost, and by this time you will have 4 charges, so anything you hit her in a block, that will give her a lot of block damage. Again, M.O.D.O.K works here because he goes to immune to evade. You should already be having that charge by now because of so many evade fights before, and also you can bring in Aegon. He can also deal with this fight. Other champions include Crossbones, and as well as you can also use Falcon. You can also use Quake. I try not to mention Quake because I know not everybody like me can Quake, so there are some other options you can use. My go-to was Professor X. I will fail 2 times with my SP3, and then once I get it right, I just need 1 cycle to kill her off. So yes guys, make sure you learn from it and you don't prolong the fight for no reason. I still was able to get a solo, so I was happy with that. But yeah guys, I hope that helps some of you. Now the next one we're going to have is a Domino. Now she will have Limber, so you have very limited amount of stuns, and she also has Force of Will, so her ability accuracy cannot be reduced, as well as Matador and Power Shield, so you will only gain power when she throws a special, so all your boosts will not help you here. The special attack 12% boost will help you because you will do more damage with the Power Shield, but you will not be gaining power as much, so you need to play a little bit defensively so you do not get much of the crit fails and you not get damage from it. So the first time I do this fight I die because I am trying to block everything. I am trying to play around Domino, but her crit failures just kill me off. So I would suggest you to play slow, and if you're going to use a Professor X, wait for your falter to come online before you go in, and you really need to keep an eye on being lucky or unlucky. If you're unlucky, do not dex, that will not trigger and the SP1 will hit you in the face. And if she is lucky, do not hit her because she will start evading. So I lose I lose one death here on Professor X for no reason. You could totally avoid that. And this fight is also soloable. I would suggest you to bring a tech champion if you can. Somebody like Warlock or somebody like Ghost, because they will make the fight super easy. And with Ghost, if you have that tech boost on, you can just throw two specials and this fight will be over. I did do great here and I brought it down to 10%, but then I make a mistake to go in with champions that do not have much of specials. And for example, I went in Archangel. That was a mistake. I couldn't kill her off and she killed me really quick. So again, if you die and you have a specific champion in mind, use the same champion, somebody with special attacks, good special attacks, and just use them straight away for power shield. Do not take a champion that takes in hits, so if it's not a tech champion, because you will die of the crit failure damage. And make sure to manage that limber. Use it when you really need it. With Professor X, you can just wait for the falter, and once you have the falter, then you can go in and kill her off. Now again, I've just used in my SP3 and I'm going in with an SP1 again right here, so I can do quite a few damage. And again, I will use the same cycle to bring her down. All in all, I used one revive here and I was quite happy with the path. We are down to 3 fights and we used only one revive, so that was really cool. Next up is going to be a Mojo, who can be annoying if you do not get him down in 2 or 3 revives because of building up his charges, and the D10 damage will be really bad. So again, there are different options you can bring against him. I think Quake works really well here. Human Torch is amazing without his pre-fight. Just save the pre-fight for Sasquatch coming up. Also, you can use in Sasquatch, you can use in Archangel here, and you can also bring in Professor X. So it's upon you. Apocalypse work as well. Just get those concussions on you and you're good. I am using Magneto because Mojo is a metal champion, and I have Magneto who is boosted up with 200% boost and 12% special boost. So again, I am trying to build up to my SP3 with all of those prowess charges and use them right away. I am using parry and heavy to keep my distance so I don't get fate sealed by staggering beauty and not get my charges on prowess charges on me. So yes guys, Magneto is pretty simple. 40 charges and then an SP3, and you can solo this fight as well. I just got degen and died because I waited too long to throw my SP3, my second SP3, so I had to revive and use some pots. But if not, you can easily solo him as well. Archangel does great solos on him, so does Human Torch and Apocalypse. You can also bring in Captain America and Infinity War depending on your team. He will work really well here as well, and you can always Quake this fight. Again guys, you will notice my units are going a bit higher. They're up to 206. That's because I'm using them for all the pods. So again, you can pretty much come up till here on the gauntlet and not use any units at all if you have farmed enough pods. I did not farm enough because I kept using them in the rise for the test runs, so you could easily get through this without using any units. So next up is going to be an Immortal Abomination now, but he will have under pressure. So once you swipe back, you get a timer on you, and if you swipe back within the timer again, you will get a disorient on you. I would suggest you not to run your suicide masteries here, because if you do, he can put heal blocks on you and that will hurt you a lot. There are different champions you can use. I messed up a lot on this fight because I did not read his abilities and the nodes properly, so I end up using 3 to 4 revives, I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, it will be up on this video. So the key thing is, when you do get a poison on you, one poison, just stay back and run that out. Don't let it stack on you. Archangel really works well because Abomination does self-inflicted poisons on him. All you need to do is a heavy with Archangel and you will convert that to neurotoxin and you can do a lot of damage. You can also use Ghost here and you can convert all of those poisons and all of those debuffs on you into Furies, and you can use that to kill off as well. One of my absolute favorites for this fight is going to be a She-Hulk, because Immortal Abomination is a X-Large champion and She-Hulk is poison immune, and those juicy Furies like really stack up really quick and you can finish this fight with a really amazing banging solo. But if not, you're gonna be like me, who's gonna use an Archangel. Then it's going to be a little slower fight, but you can still bring him down in 3 to 4 revives. Again guys, if a fight is difficult, I think about it in a way that I need to use maximum of 5 revives, 20% in 1 revive, and bring the champion down and break it down into small goals, because I hate this long content anyway. Again, if you want to learn from my mistakes, once you have one poison, just stay back and run it out. Willpower will be really helpful here, and it's just sustain and just parry and heavy, and you can kill him off. I'm using an Archangel, so I'm using parry and heavy. I think you would do the same way with Apocalypse as well, and you can also quick it in a corner, or you can convert all of that with Ghost. So there's plenty of options for this fight, and you can get a solo on him as well. This time I am super heavy. We are in the final path and we have used only 8 revives and 2 team revives, and also 448 units on pots. Now you will notice that there's also 80 units. That's because I used 2 of the 8 revives with 80 units, so that is just there for your reference. But by the end of the video I'll remove that and I will keep only the revives there, so you have an idea how much you need. Now this next fight is, I had an idea in mind, but I did not factor in that he's going to be unstunnable because of starting his genetic charges at 4 in every fight. So that what threw me off in the beginning, so you need to learn from that. So in my case, I am bringing in a Magneto. So with Magneto, the plan was to throw an SP1, make him bleed immune, and then throw an SP3 back to back with the 200 boost and kill him off. So I failed the first two attempts because, you know, I was still like, it was almost 1 o'clock in the night, and then my mind was not working, and I hate this long content. So what I tried to do is just, you know, in the middle you will notice I took a breather, and then I tried to make a strategy on my mind. Okay, now he's already bleed immune. All I need to do is to get up to prowesses. So first I try to get up prowesses without using heavy into heavy, and I fail and I use only 5 of them. But then I think to myself, okay, he throws a medium, then he throws another attack on you, and then you get stunned. So why not block, let him come through a medium, and then check him. If he throws a heavy, I retaliate with my heavy and get a prowess. If he doesn't and I dex back, I don't get stunned. So I kept on that thought process and keep going through it. And as soon as I get 10 prowess and SP3, I just spend my heavy and build up to 40 charges and 2 SP2s, and he was gone straight away. Now if I do this fight again now, I will probably save at least 2 revives and a bunch of pots that I used for this fight that I would not usually do it. Again, I tried to dex his special 2-3 times, which is really funny because I tried it during some of the duels and I was successful with it. I got the timing down, but here I failed miserably. So again, if you're not good at it, you can block it out, especially if you're using somebody like Magneto, and you can just block it out and then go back to your fight. Again, you can use here Quake, but I think that's not the right option to use it because he will get evade immune. So maybe you can just use a parry, that you can just Quake and stun. But I don't think that's the right option. My apologies, I'll take it away. Ghost works really well here. Also Doom works really well. He can just easily power control him. Professor X another option, and you can also go with M.O.D.O.K. Just ignore the Quake there. I didn't factor in that M.O.D.O.K. can go M.O.D.O.K. can get that evade charge, and you will not be able to quaking him again. So in place of a good option is going to be a magic. You can power lock M.O.D.O.K. and take him to a corner and do those intercepts, and you can get this fight pretty much a solo as well. So again guys, this is where I made up my mind. I'm just going to use a heavy when he throws a heavy and build up to the prowess charges and kill him off with 2 back-to-back SP3s. So yes guys, keep that in mind. If you're on this fight and you're going to use a Magneto, so use an SP3 first to make him bleed immune, and once he is bleed immune and he's a metal champion, your SP3 will do a lot of damage because all of the armor breaks, and then it will give you another SP3, so you can use back-to-back SP3s to kill him off. Next up is going to be a Sasquatch with life cycle and as well as recovery. Now this is the fight that I heard about over and over again before I jumped into it, that there's going to be a difficult one because of his region and because of his rage and everything. I managed to bring him down with one revive only by using Archangel. So if you have an Archangel, he just counters everything, so use him. If not, you can use Quake here as well, and you can, by this time you can also use Aegon, and as well as Human Torch. Use him with his pre-fight ability and you will be able to bring him down as well. M.O.D.O.K will work here as well with all of his debuffs and run 3x3 despair, so you can use that as well. And I really think She-Hulk will be really fun fight because he's a big juicy Excel champion, and with She-Hulk with all of her fury stacking up, and especially if you have brought in a Gulk for that Terrax fight, and he synergizes really well with the She-Hulk, so She-Hulk can do a lot of damage with this gauntlet. There are like 9 or 10 champions she can take out on her own, so yeah, She-Hulk would be amazing for this fight. So all I'm doing is I'm gonna use parry and heavy and stack up those neurotoxins, and because I'm knocking him down every now and again, so the life cycle she will be at his max, and when he gets to 0 power he will not heal because of neurotoxin, and when he's knocked down and the power sheet is deactivated, he will die of the debuff damages on him. So yes guys, Archangel is just simply amazing for this fight. I had to use one revive and some pots to kill him off, but at this point we are at 16 fights down and everything is going really well, and that's where my misery starts when we get to Killmonger. So let's stay tuned guys. This is where I start using units and I start throwing revives here and there, so here we go. So next up we're going to have a Killmonger with polka dot power and as well as in sharpened claws and cutting wire. So do not use any robot champion, and with sharpened claws you will get extra bleeds, so whenever you block him then those bleeds can kill you off. So do not block much, but the champions that you can use here are some really good ones. You can just bring in an Aegon, and at this point the reverberation damage will not affect you because he should be above 500 hits, and above 500 hits he reduces the ability accuracy by 100% from the opponent, so you don't need to worry about that. You can also always quake this fight if you have some amazing thumbs. If not, you can also go in and use a ghost here. With ghost you just have to wait for the reverberation to go away before you throw your special, so you can do that. And as well as Apocalypse, my choice was Namor because Namor with 200 sig will return all the reverberation damage back to him, and his specials can do some damage as well. You can also bring in Corvus, but bear in mind with Corvus you will not be able to throw any specials because of polka dot power. You will not gain any power, but if you finish off your charges quick and you have him at good sig, those charges will replenish faster and you can bring him down like that. Now this fight is a bit hard to solo, but it is doable. But I would say that maximum 2 or 3 revives will be enough to bring him down. I take out a chunk of 40% of health from him straight away. Unfortunately, as soon as I go in the second fight, my device runs out of storage and I could not upload the remaining part of this fight, but it cost me around I think 2 revives to kill him off, so that wasn't really bad. So I managed to take him down easily. So my mistakes here, I would say I was a little less patient. So you need to be patient with him and you need to push him to an SP2, and then you can go in with SP1. It can be a little tricky to evade, but if you're good with it, well, that's good. That's good. You can use that as well, but I find SP2 to be much more easier. So only polka dot champions will gain power, so just be wary about that when you plan your fight, that you will need a champion with damage over time for the pesky fight against Killmonger. And we are down to the last 2 fights. that this one is going to be against a Void who will have power shield and long distance relationship and shifting immunity. Now the funny part here is by the time I got here I ran out of 200% mutant boost, so I was just looking around everywhere if you can find it. I didn't have enough loyalty to buy one more, so I settled for the 150%, and then I boosted 20% health and attack and also a 10 or 15% attack boost here as well. So don't be that guy, make sure you have it. Now the mistake I made here is I was trying to be so close to him to keep my power to my counter meter near 9. So whenever I get a debuff, I can just get away with it and throw my 10th hit and purify it. But because of that, I was getting weaknesses on me, and weaknesses will give me damage, so you need to be careful for that. I think the best way to approach this fight is to stay away, parry and heavy, and not worry too much about the 10 hit counter. Just use 3 hits and swipe back, 3 hits and swipe back, so you're not close to him for a longer period of time, so you don't get that long distance relationship on you and weakness on you, and you don't die just like that. Once I learned that, on the next fight I stayed away. I used only 3-8 combos to build up to an SP3, and if you haven't seen it yet with the other YouTubers, SP3 because of power shield will give you back another SP3, so you can throw back-to-back SP3s and you can pretty much kill this Void off in one revive. You can do a solo. Some other champions that will work here would be Corvus. You can always keep running at 1% and try to play the no parry style, but it's difficult, but it can be done. You can just budget 3 to 5 revives and you can kill him off. But with Corvus' special 2, that's going to do a lot of damage, and if you're using a 200% cosmic boost, those 2 special 2s will really kill off Void very quick. Same goes for Ghost. Play safe until you get an SP2, and then you can throw 2 SP2s and the Void will be toast. And also you can use Shang-Chi, but Shang-Chi is going to be a bit longer. Use the stun and the purify rotation, so any debuffs on you can be purified. Also you can use M.O.D.O.K. M.O.D.O.K with his heavy SP2 can deal a lot of damage and get back the power as well. So, and also Kingpin, with if you have Kingpin, Hood. So a really good team can be made with Kingpin, Hood and Ghost together, and Hood will provide Ghost the ability to tank special 3s, and with Kingpin he will give him 100% chance to shrug off debuffs, so that will work really well here also. So there's quite a few options. Make sure to plan for it when you do the path. If you're not sure, check out my planner guide that I have on my other video, and that will help you out. So at this point I am in the rotation. I will just throw my SP3s and just kill him off really quick. And then finally we have Nick Fury, who has Vigor and also has Lionheart and Kinetic Transference. Now again, this is the last fight in the long gauntlet, and by this time I was really annoyed and I just wanted to get it over with. I could have played much better and easily soloed him with Professor X, but I did make a lot of mistakes and I kept using revives and pods and units for no reason. Don't do that, guys. If you're having a hard time, if you're tired, stop it, come back again to it. It doesn't matter, your progress is going to be there. Just put the phone aside, go have some water, just calm down and just come to the fight. Don't just be like me and just go straight into it, because with that it's going to be costing you more revives and more units. I'm already up to 894 units on pots and 320 on revives, but those 320 are already accounted in the 13 and 2, so I will give you a final count at the end of it. So with Professor X, I failed miserably the first time, so I think I bring him back again. I did the old fight with him. Now I was on the fence about using Archangel here because of Lionheart, because I think the poison will trigger the Lionheart and kill you off anyway, so I did not bring him in case anybody's wondering. If not, there are quite a few champions that you can use here. Professor X, and you can also use in Corvus Glaive and cycle those SP2s with the tech boost, with the cosmic boost. Same goes with Ghost. You can use the tech boost and use that to your advantage. Also Namor, and as well as Aegon. By this time you should have him by 999, and you should be easily able to kill Nick Fury off. And also Apocalypse works really well. Now I'm not sure if that force close trick works here. What you could do is, once you start the fight the first time, you can force close it and then you can come back to it, and Nick Fury should start in his LMD phase, so you can just wait it out, let it go down to 30%, and you can save a lot of units here. Now I just did it as it should be done, but you can always use that trick, just don't quote me on it. And yes guys, that's about it. What you should learn from my run is you need a little more patience. Take a break if you need to at this point, because I know it's been a long gauntlet. And again, use champions that can go unblockable with unblockable specials to run through his last 30%. And also throughout the fight you can push him to an SP2 because he has a kinetic transference on him. So if you're using a tanky champion, you can just block and give him more power, and when he has an SP2 you can go back and you can retaliate easy on her. Again, looking back at this, I think I could have done this run much better. I could have done this with much lower revive and unit counts, but it is what it is. So that's why I'm laying it out for you guys, so it's much more easier when you attempt it. I know there are 3 to 4 days remaining. Good luck with that, and I hope you do it better than me. Make sure to share how you did in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you guys. And if the video is helping you, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications, and leave some comments down below. I would love to hear from you guys. I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes, so let's discuss, and let's discuss how to make it better for the next time it becomes available. So if you're not aware, this is a timed quest where it will come again later and your progress will be saved. So if you have done 2 parts, that will be saved and you can go on to the third. If not, if you have done only completion, so the completion will be saved and you can go ahead from the you can do the other 3 parts. So the people who are not Thronebreaker, once they get Thronebreaker, again when it will come available, they will be added to the pool as well. So nothing to worry about guys there. And yeah, you can watch me die of misery with Nick Fury, and I will finally able to bring him down with God knows how many units. So I will catch you on the other side of it on the Thanos boss. And finally, we have the boss that is going to be a nameless Thanos. Now, he does not have any nodes on him, but he has the Infinity Gauntlet, so he will go through 3 different phases. So we will discuss. And you start the fight, there's not going to be any phase. He will activate the first one when he gets to 95%. That is pretty quickly. So different champions you can use are going to be Hyperion, Captain America Infinity War, Aegon. If you have ramped him up, you can bring him down in like a minute only. Also Ghost with Hood will work really well here. My choice is going to be an Archangel because I'm just gonna parry and heavy and try to kill him off. Now the first phase is already activated. Once he activates in this phase, after an SP1 you will notice there is a cooldown timer with the bleed icon. So when he has that active, do not hit him, stay away, and when this goes away you can hit him and parry and heavy. So you need a little patience here, but you can work through it. Also sometimes you might get clipped from it and you can take a damage, but that's okay. Just play it patiently, run it out. Trust me, in the long run it will cost you less units. So yes guys, that's about it for the phase 1. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Just wait for that bleed armor to go away, and then you can just parry and heavy him. If you're using an Archangel and other champions as well, you can use through it. So at 60 to 65% health, he will start his second phase. Now in second phase, you will get a degen on you for a little while. Once the degen goes away, then your health will be returned back to you. Now this is not a difficult phase, but here you need to be taking care of the SP2. Once he uses an SP2, he will throw two sets of 3 projectiles towards you, and you need to dex the right one. So a nifty trick here is going to just hold your block. That will cause him to come into you and not throw a special, and you can use that to re-parry and throw a special on him. So that can work here as well. Also Aegon rips through this one, so you just hold it. You hold your block and let him come into you, and that will not use a special too, and he cannot gain power, so you don't need to worry about that. So that trick works really well. But if he does throw an SP2, evade the first beam, and then he will throw 2 sets of 3 projectiles towards you. Now within those set, the one that looks a little different, try to dex that, because that will not give you degen. Now having said that, once you do bring him down to 35% to 30 to 35%, he will activate his third phase. So yeah, in his third phase he's gonna be going super aggressive, and he can go up to a special 3, and with that he can throw a special 3 and kill you off. We will discuss more about it once the phase really starts. So at 30% health, he's gonna go to into his third phase. That is going to be his death phase. So be careful. Just there I died because he had that touch on him and did not evade him. So you cannot try. Do not try to parry him. You will die even if he hits you in your block. Now a really good trick here is whatever champion you take and you go into the fight, as soon as the SP3 animation finish, just dash in because he still waits to get back to attack you, and you can catch him off guard and you can hit into him. Just throw your 3-hit combo, 4-hit combo, swipe back, and you can go in again because he will charge towards you and you will get the safeguard. And in case of non-Avenger champions, you will only use 25% of your health when you use an SP3, and in case of Avenger champions, you will use only 10%. You will notice that I make a lot of mistakes because I'm learning through as I play this fight, and I'll be like trying to charge in and he just slaps me in the face. This is where I think about charging in after his SP3 animation, and right there I caught him off guard. 4-hit combo, swipe back, and then I can easily get that safeguard. So guys, you can repeat that over and over again and you can easily get that safeguard and not to worry about it. Again, he goes to an SP3, so once he uses his SP3 and his animation will finish, you can go back in again and you can catch him off guard and get that safeguard again. Now at this point I do not have a ghost with HOD that can nullify the damage, so my best bet is to use an Avenger. Now Namor is also an Avenger and he will take only 10% damage, so I realize it after a bit and I bring him in, and then it's pretty much straightforward guys. Just after his SP3 animation, jump in, goes dash right in, catch him off guard, use 4 hits, swipe back, go backing again, get that safeguard on you, and then rinse and repeat that process and kill him off. It was a long gauntlet. At the end I was like really like, just let's get it over with. My total units and revives were 15 single revives, 5 team revives, and 1055 units for the pots. Now the 660 you see, they are already included in the 14, so you can go either way, but I'm gonna remove them and include it in the revive so you have an idea how many revives you need if you follow my strategies. So I would safely say have 20 to 25 revives formed and have a lot more pots, because pots are where you will lose a lot of your units if you're not planning to do it with units. So farm away your pots, around 200 to 50 of them, and you'll be good. If you have your daily crystals, that would help you as well. But now that I've done this and I have a clear idea of it, I would say it looks very daunting, but apart from the Mixmaster Korg fight and the Nick Fury at the end, I don't think it was really difficult. And again, if I knew how to use Professor X better, or some of the unforced errors I have done, I could have done this more cheaply without Quake. So I hope this helps you out guys. If it does, make sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and also subscribe to the channel and turn on those post notifications. All of that really helps me out a lot and helps me grow the channel. And after this we'll be jumping right back into 7.2, and about time we do the exploration videos. So yes guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.